All right, in this video, we're going to work through the first practice problem. If you haven't tried to work this yourself already, you probably should go back and do that. And then after you get done, watch this video just to see if your solution is any different than mine. So that's really the only way to prepare yourself for the coding exams, the midterm exam and the final exam. All right, it says a dog kennel boards dogs at a cost of 50 cents per pound per day. Write a program that asks the user to enter a dog's weight and the number of days to be boarded. Calculate the total price for boarding by multiplying the dog's weight times the number of days times 50 cents. And so here's a representation of how to compute that. Total price equals 0.5 times weight times days. And display the dog's weight, number of days to be boarded, and the total cost in dollars to the user. All right, and so here's an example. So the program will prompt the user to enter the weight in pounds. And so the user enters 23, and then prompt the user to enter the number of days boarded, 7 in this case, and then it will print some result like this. Okay, so this type of program, basically you can kind of break it down into 3 parts. The input part, where the user's entering the stuff, and then the process part, where you calculate the total price with this formula, and then the output part, where you display this message to the user. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on that. So first off, I'm going to declare a variable called weight, and then I'm going to get input from the user, and I'm going to try to make it look exactly like this example run here that's shown. So enter the weight of the dog in pounds. So enter the weight of the dog in pounds. So that'll get input, but remember this input always gets input as a string, and we'll need to take the value for weight here and involve it in a calculation. So that means we need to change it to a number instead of a string. And so we have to kind of decide whether we're going to allow decimals or not. And for weight, let's just say that we're going to allow decimals in here. And so therefore, we would change this to the float type. So we would wrap all of that in the float, and that converts this string to a float. All right, and so if we run that, we can enter some number for pounds. Looks okay like that. Except, just trying to match mine. Here we see that there's a colon, so let's go ahead and do that. And a space. And let's save this as Kennel. Okay, and let's try that. So it looks good. Now, if the user enters some letters in here, it's going to cause this program to crash. So for the time being, don't worry about that. Later in the course, we'll talk about a way in which we can prevent that from happening. For right now, just assume that the user is perfect and does everything perfect. And then at the appropriate time, we'll talk about how to avoid that situation. Okay, so that is the weight. And next up, we need the days. And so we need to prompt the user to enter the number of days, enter the number of days to be boarded. And again, that's going to be involved in a calculation. So what we'll need to do is to convert it to a numeric type. Previously here, we converted weight to a float. Let's just say that for days, it's got to be a whole number of days. You can't like pay for a half day or something like that. So it's either all or nothing on that one. So we want that to be a whole number. So in this case, we're going to convert that input into an int. So we use this int function to do that. All right, and so that is the input that we need from the user. And so now that's the input part. Next up, we are going to calculate the total price. And the total price, if we go back and look at the statement of the problem, it's 0.50 times weight times days is the formula. So it's going to be 0.50 times, and the multiplication sign, right, we have to write that as an asterisk, times weight times days. Okay, and so if you want to just check to see what value you're getting and whether or not it's correct, we could try to print that out. All right, and you should also check in this example run here, I give you, you should check to see that you're getting the same values here. So 23 and 7. So if I run this and I enter 23 and 7, I should get $80.50. So that looks correct. And just try another easy case just to check to see. Let's say a dog is 10 pounds and we're boarding them for 2 days. So 10 times 2 would be 20, and then half of that would be 10. So this should be $10. So there we go. So that looks like everything is correct. So that's the process part where we're calculating the value that we need. So next up is we just need to enhance this message right here. For right now, I'll make it look a little better, and you should try to make it match this. Okay. So our message is going to be the total cost for boarding a blank pound dog for blank days is blank. So we would do that with an F string. So the total cost for let's see, how do we want that? For boarding a blank and so right here we want, oops, I have a typo there, so it should say for boarding a, and then weight pound dog for, all right, the line's getting long and I don't want to make the line go really far off here to the right because it's kind of annoying. So I'm going to pick back up, and don't forget to put the F in front of this string when you continue, and don't forget to indent. Remember, Python enforces the white space and indentation by default. So so you're going to have to indent that, otherwise you'll get an error. Next up is the days is, and then the total price. All right, so if I do 23 and 7, all right, you can see that's looking a little bit more like the message right here. One thing to notice is that here I didn't, for 23, I didn't have this 0.0 in here. So I don't want that decimal place. If you don't want that, then what you could do is put colon 0.0. And that will give it a precision of 0, so that'll round it to the and I forgot the F there. It's displaying it in that other format for floats here. So I need to add an F right here. Let's see if that will get it. There we go. So that displays it to the nearest whole number, even though we allowed the user to enter a decimal right here. So the total cost for boarding a 23-pound dog for 7, and we forgot the actual word days, right, is, and then we want to format this, it's money, right? So we want to put a $sign in front of it, and then for the formatting on that, let's do a comma to put comma separators, point to F. That will round it to 2 decimal places in the floating point format. So that should look a little better. So if we do 23 and 7 here, you can see that matches pretty well. The only thing, it shows a space right here which we don't have. Our sentence is right next to that. So if you want a space in here, you could just start it with a /n. That /n is a new line character, and it will add a new line in there. So 23, 7. So that looks like it's working. Just test it out with some other numbers. If I use some big numbers here, it should display, oops, display the money value with comma separators like that. Okay. All right, and that is it on this first problem.